Hello and welcome to Fun Problems, the problems of fun. I'm Peter C. Hayward.
I'm AJ Brandon.
And this is our podcast. Today, AJ, what do you want to talk about? Maybe the topic we prepared? Just a suggestion? Just off the top of my head? Thought you might be okay with that?
I was going to talk about our favorite fast food places, but sure, we can do the topic.
Is that not the topic we prepared? I'm going to give a disclaimer both to the audience and to AJ. At some point, I'm going to get a message saying I have to leave. And so that will be the last one that we do. And this is the perfect episode for that, because what are we doing today, AJ?
Today we're doing user submit. Sorry,
You keep saying user. I don't know where user comes from.
We're doing community submitted cell sheets. So we're reviewing your cell sheets. We're going to be really mean and nasty.
We are going to
tell you why you're really bad at what you're.
And that is not always positive. We did an episode of this before where we went through AJ's cell sheets, and I gave, I think, fair and critical feedback. AJ welcomes this, and so we told people, hey, submit yours as long as you are welcoming of that. And you said, AJ, that we got a consistent line in our emails?
Yeah, everyone was like, tear me a new one.
In no way do we delight in being cruel or negative or anything like that. It's just that we have strong opinions and we like to share them. We also got a lot of feedback, I'm sure you got this as well, that even though it was a visual episode, people really like listening to it. So
yeah,
this is going to come out as an audio podcast because apparently people like that. If you're not aware, we do a YouTube channel alongside the audio podcast, and so you can watch our beautiful faces as we look at your beautiful cell sheets. Now, I suggested very last minute to disrupt AJ's plans because I don't like him, that we start with one of AJ's just to establish that we are not trying to be cruel or mean, that this is just our like unfiltered thoughts, and we're not picking on our audience, who we love very much, etc., etc. Any other disclaimers before we start, AJ?
Nope, let's get to it.
Okay, Whale the Fall.
Can you see this easily? Is it good?
I can see this, and hopefully the audience can too. So I'll describe it for audio listeners. It is called Whale Fall. This is one of AJ's. It has his email at the bottom. Have we removed contact details for people from the other ones, or do I have to go and blur them later?
I did not remove any of them.
Okay, so I'll be doing some blurring.
I assumed it was free advertising, you know?
Not the name necessarily, but if someone's put their phone number on, we don't want to put that on YouTube. So this says Whale Fall, highly asymmetric, easy to learn area control game. There are some pictures of some animals. It's 14 plus cakes, 2 to 3 people, 45 minutes. When whales die and sink to the ocean floor, their bodies generate entire ecosystems due to the food they provide. Each player takes controls of different factions vying for resources in a big starburst fast teach. Component list, 95 tokens, 13 standard D6, 35 cards, 1 rondelle, 1 rulebook, 1 board. Designed by AJ, in quotations, handsome face Brandon. It's a very nice little tagline you got there. And then it's got some mechanical details that I'm not going to read. Now, I am in a weird position because I was early on a co-designer of this game and then I dropped out. So I already know a decent amount about this game. So we are purely doing cell sheet assessment. So my first thought is that this is going to sound weird. It does say area control game. It's hard for me to tell what this is. Oh, you know what it is? There's no board picture. And you don't always have to have a board picture or anything like that. But I'm looking at this and I'm just at a glance. This is first instinct. I'm struggling to get a handle on what this is. So it says area control game. It says highly asymmetric. Sharks choose a card for their ability, then choose another card to multiply its effectiveness. Lower multipliers come with powerful bonuses. Worms have a rondelle action selection. They burrow into the whale, becoming powerful worker placement, esque locations. Octopi chain together cards for maximum effect and hide your unit's true strength with camouflage. This is all great, and I understand that I'm doing a different thing with each of them, but I don't understand what I'm doing. I do because I've played the game, but I'm struggling from the cell sheet to see the shape of the game, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's a good note, and I think that's something that I don't do enough of on my cell sheets is show the actual, like a photo of the game in progress, show the board. I think that can be very valuable, and that's something that I often don't end up doing.
So I think that's my big note. There's a lot of text. There's not too much text, I don't think, but there is a lot of text. I assume only 3 units, three factions.
Correct.
So as putting my publisher hat on, I see area control game, and I'm like 2 to 3 players. Who wants to play a 2 to 3 player area control game?
This is the most unsellable part of the game. I've actually tried, because I really like the 45-minute playtime.
Yeah.
I've tried a bunch of different things to get a faction that plays really quickly, and I couldn't get one that didn't bump up the playtime to an hour plus. So I'm leaving it 2 to 3. If the publisher is interested but needs a fourth, then I'll cross the bridge when
I'll tell you personal experience. I signed a game last week, an area control game. Oh, the one that we did on the previous Cell Sheet episode.
Mightier Than the Sword, right?
Yes. The publisher was a much better name for it, which is shocking because I thought that was the best name possible. That was always very much a working title. And that's a co-designer with Matt Banchet, whose name I learned how to pronounce. And as you know, AJ, from personal experience, when I co-design a game, I want it to be amazing at 2-player. It is really important to me because that's how I'm going to playtest the most. Critter Kitchen is a game that you wouldn't think even plays at 2-player. It's amazing at 2-player. Mighty Than the Sword is an area control game. It's amazing at 2-player. The publisher, even knowing that it's a 2-player game... I'm sorry, I have to reply to a message. Of course, I'm good. I'm being very curt because I'm trying to record a podcast at the same time. I'm sorry, I'm bad at multitasking. Bad episode. So the publisher was like, look, do we even need to put a 2-player in? Because he's like, no one plays area control at 2-player, which he didn't say literally no one, but the thought was like, look, do we just want to do a 3 to 5 game? And we had to advocate for like, no, the 2-player is really good. Like we promise, it's a really interesting 2-player. But 2-player was such a low priority for this area control game to this publisher. They were like, why even put it on the box, you know? This game might be published as a 3 to 5 on the box, even though it has a 2-player mode, because they care so little about 2-players. So this is obviously anecdotal, one publisher, one experience. But when I say 2 to 3 player area control game, it feels like I talked about this lately. It was crap. It's going to drive me nuts. I was talking to Alex Cutler, my co-designer, and we've made a game that has a campaign and it's a cozy game. And I was like, yeah, we should call it a cozy roguelike. And he's like, no, roguelikes are like the association of roguelikes is this really horrible, cutthroat, nasty death. They don't feel cozy at all. We have made a cozy roguelike, but by pairing those words together, it sounds like you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, that's very prudent.
So trying to pitch a 2 to 3 player area control game, I'm like, do you know how games work? So that's my biggest note, I think. Is that fair?
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
I think I would swap out the asymmetry, which I understand as the designer, you're like, but it's so asymmetrical for what does the game do? Like, what does it look like? What is the crux of the game? Not what are the specifics?
Mm-hmm. Cool. Shall we move on to users? We want to start with one of mine to like set the tone.
Yes.
And
to show that, like, you know, I love AJ very, very dearly. None of this is an indictment on him at all. This is just what the feedback process looks like. And that way we're not just bullying our audience.
Yeah.
Okay, who we got?
Sure. Okay, let me just find the best way to share here. I think I'll just share it like this. So I should be able to switch between these ones. Okay. There. So we've got a game. Oh, do you want to do the reading now? I'm happy to let you do that.
You do it. Okay. I did it last time.
All right. This is called Four Eyes. I'm just going to spit out things as come.
Do it.
Immediately, I think this is a bit of a too clever title card here. I don't care too much about pretty graphics or anything. Obviously, this is like a fairly basic looking thing. But the Four Eyes is like very visually busy. It's not going to...
It's like a handwritten thing. Like they've taken a piece of paper and they've written out Four Eyes and they've colored it in different colors and they've drawn glasses and leaves and
there's
glasses.
So many things overlapping text that it just makes it visually difficult to read.
You know what it makes me think of more than anything?
What?
Is a captcha.
Yeah, totally.
And which, so I mean, captchas are famously difficult to read. So when that's my first thought seeing the game title, that's probably a red flag.
Well, and it may very well like lean into what the game's trying to do, but the important thing here is usability is always priority number one.
Yeah.
So this is a game ages 10 and plus, players 2 to 4, and 30 to 60 minutes. That's a pretty wide range. That's a little bit of a red flag for me.
It tells me that we're looking at like Euro territory, like midweight sort of. I was going to say Forest Shuffle. I just played a bunch of Forest Shuffle, so that game is very much on my mind.
Yeah, it's not a huge issue. It's just it could literally be twice as long as you think.
Here's a little industry secret: is that estimated player times are just never. There's no way of knowing when Stonemeyer did, I think it was Scythe, he just wrote down every single playtime someone said and then printed the average. So the box said something like 112 minutes. It was nonsense because the average of 100 playtests is not the average playtime. It literally is, but it's not. So instead, and this is so counterintuitive to us designer types, you want your playtime to signal what kind of game it is. AJ worked really hard to keep his game at 45 minutes because that tells you what you are playing. When I see 30 minutes, that gives me a really clear idea. When I say 60 minutes, that gives me a completely different idea. When I see 30 to 60, my genuine thought is, I don't know what this game is.
Right. So the tagline is, design glasses for many-eyed monsters in this positive player interaction tile-laying game. The monster optometrist who earns the most money wins the game. Okay, I'm going to judge you so harshly here. It's not fair because I have the strongest opinion on positive player interaction.
I was going to say, did that make you light up? Or?
That it makes me ready to be disappointed is what it does.
Oh, yeah,
I hope I'm proven wrong.
It raises the stakes.
Yes. We'll do a whole episode on positive player interaction that's on our queue, but I have strong opinions, short answer.
Okay, so I have two thoughts here. One is that design glasses for many-eyed monsters. That's interesting. Like that is an interesting idea. But I'm still stuck on 30 to 60 minutes. If it's design glasses in a 30-minute game, that to me spells a very different experience to design glasses for a 60-minute game. If your selling point is positive player interaction, 2 to 4 is also a minor red flag for me. If I'm playing a positive player interaction game, I want it to be more than 2 players. And obviously it is literally more than 2 players, but 2 to 4, I don't know, maybe I'm being too fussy here, but I feel like 2 to 4 is sort of a defunct play count.
Yeah.
Having said that, the common advice is make the game work at the player counts it works at. I just always aim for 2 to 5. I don't think I've ever designed a 2 to 4 player game in my life.
I think being an optometrist for many-eyed monsters is a cute idea for a theme. So like that's definitely not something I've seen a million times before. So that's nice. But as soon as I'm done reading that, there's no visual hierarchy here. So again, the points that we're going to hit on here isn't going to be like, oh, do you have the most beautiful graphics? I don't care about that. That's not going to make or break your game necessarily. But the basics of important graphic design that you need to know is clarity and visual hierarchy. I think clarity being what we just talked about. How easy is it for me to read and parse your information? And information hierarchy, think of it this way. When you're reading a book, you start at the top left and you go across and you keep moving your way down. That is naturally how human eyes want to move. And if you're going to break that flow, then you need to do it by having big, bombastic things. You'll notice in a lot of mine from our previous whole episode on cell sheet design, I did a lot of speech bubble 1, speech bubble 2, speech bubble 3. And when there was any amount of ambiguity whatsoever in which order you're supposed to read them, I labeled them. This is step 1, step 2, step 3, just being as blunt as possible. When I look at this, it's like actions, and it looks like it's a vertical thing. And then positive player interaction is like this whole other section over here.
Right,
and it's
like
a little
reading left to right, yeah.
Yeah, it's a little confusing for me how I'm supposed to read this. And even if you just have like a solid single color for the background behind all the things that you're showing, at least that tells me that's part of the same section, and that's good. I can see that a little.
Borders is doing that. So the column on the left all has green colored borders, and the title action is also green. So I associate that with being one chunk. But I completely agree. I'm not sure if I'm meant to go down and read that boot shape or like start at the thing that's technically higher but on the right. Like it is very visually messy. I have one more thought on the tagline before I forget. Positive player interaction, most money wins the game. There's something weird about that to me. Like that, those things don't quite click to me. And maybe it's because I'm so deep in the weeds with our positive player interaction game. But player interaction, like positive player interaction for capitalism, it's a weird combination.
There's a slight disconnect.
Yeah. Okay, carry on.
Okay, so let's go through the action section. So draft monster.
Do you want to zoom in because it's quite small? Sure.
Yep. How's that?
Perfect.
I'll just work our way through it. So actions: draft monster cards and place them into an exam room. Collect acrylic glasses tiles from other players' displays or from the bag. Discard glasses to make monocle tiles. And check out a completed monster to earn money and upgrade an action for the rest of the game. So this is...
Go back to the top. I just need to read that first one.
Yep.
Okay. What are your thoughts? I have strong thoughts here.
You go first. I have strong thoughts too, but I just read. You take a turn.
I'm sure we've talked about this in the past, but one of my absolute obsessions in board game design is how does that make sense? And I think, AJ, I've played your prototypes and given this feedback. You've seen me play other people's prototypes and give this feedback. I need what I'm doing to make sense. So I'll use Tapestry as an example. This is very common in exploration games. In Tapestry, the way you explore is you draw a tile from the bag and choose where to put it. That's not exploration. That's like planet crafting or something. And again, countless games do this. Sometimes they can hand wave it enough that I'm okay with it. Like Eclipse has a similar mechanism. But it's like, yeah, that's the wormhole you're creating or whatever. Like space is not actually laid out in a 2D grid, so there's already discrepancies being made. In Tapestry, you were exploring a continent by choosing where the forests, mountains, and rivers are. And I'm like, that's that's not exploring a continent. It just fundamentally doesn't make sense. I played a prototype that I'm not allowed to talk about for various reasons. Not mine, someone else's. I'm not allowed to talk about for NDA reasons, not for critical reasons. But I just remember being like, who are we? Like, who are we in this game and what are we doing? Because you've got us taking these actions here and then these actions on a second board, and you're saying this is a week later, but I'm like, what? If it doesn't make sense to me, I can't enjoy the game. And maybe I'm hyper aware of this, maybe I'm heightened. Maybe this is why I get a lot of games signed, because it's such an obsession of mine. But like, draft monster cards and place them into exam room. Okay, like, sure, I guess you could pick out your customers. That's not really how automations work, but this is Monster World. Okay, draft your monsters and put them into exam rooms, sure. You've got a shared pool of patients and you're going out and being like, you, come sit here. Collect acrylic glasses tiles from other players' displays or from the bag. You've sort of lost me here. Like, what what is happening? But let's go past that. Discard glasses tiles to make monocle tiles. Cool. Okay, great. You snap a pair of glasses in half, you got a monocle. Adorable. I love that. I think that's so cute, so fun, that's so thematically integrated. Check out a completed monster to earn money. Yes, that is how commerce works. Love it. And to upgrade an action for the rest of the game. Why? Like, what's happening? It's not the biggest deal, but to me, and again, I am hyper aware of this, I don't see cohesion in this.
Yeah, I think I don't have an issue with the drafting cards. To me, that's just like they come in and you're like figuring out who's working on which patient. To me, that checks out. To me, this is more of like it's getting a bit too into the weeds. Like, upgrade an action for the rest of the game. That's like not a thing that's going to
make a publisher be like, whoa, you can upgrade actions in this game?
Mm-hmm.
Even this number of steps. So to turn this into actionable advice instead of just Peter criticizing a thing, take the cool part and talk about that. Drafting monster cards to place in an exam room, that's not cool. It's a necessary thing for the game to work. It's not a selling point. And this is literally a sell sheet. We could absolutely go back to AJ's and make some similar points, I suspect. You are trying to think of what is going to sell the game. And we talk about this all the time. The three main hooks are mechanical, component, and thematic. And draft monster cards and place them into exam room is none of those. I think it's fair to say.
Yeah. To me, I think what I'm seeing for the hook, we haven't even finished the sell sheet, but right off the bat, it's partially thematic, but I think the idea of having like these glasses tokens that are like covering their eyes and like seeing the finished monster, that sounds like it has a lot of great table presence. That seems very visually appealing.
It's component and thematic here.
Yeah. I would be trying to lean into that as much as possible. And I understand, graphic design is everyone's forte or whatever, but if we could see like a picture of what that looks like and it really sells me on the final one.
A big old monster. And you've got this really cute, lovely monster with the two stalks and eyes on them. A big monster, some glasses tiles, an arrow pointing to them, and then a smaller version of him wearing the glasses. That is going to do more to sell your game than everything we just read. Yes.
If you go back to the Sell Sheets review of my games, look at Cosplay Girls. In Cosplay Girls, I have a magic hat. It has this sort of similar thing where you card craft and you put the hat on the girl. I have a picture of the girl wearing the hat. Now, that sell sheet wasn't perfect necessarily, but I do think that that's the type of thing that I'd be trying to lean into for this.
Yeah.
So
I know we haven't finished it yet. If you frame your sell sheet through hooks and not how to play the game, because this is currently an instructions on how to play the game.
Yes.
How to play your game almost never sells your game.
Okay, so positive player interaction. Game bonuses when other players take tiles from your display. Optical for oddities display, and then it's pretty hard for me to parse what all this iconography means.
It's a bunch of symbols, and the circles and the squares look like they're glasses.
Yeah, from this
But
example.
everything else, I don't understand except for dollars.
Yeah, this one maybe just got a wild one from somewhere, but you're showing me stuff that I don't understand, and you're like partially explaining it, which is making it worse than it would be if you were doing less.
It's also not clear to me if this is just purely random. Like, do these just get dealt out, and if people take them, hooray, you get a bonus? Like, one of the columns is $1, one of them is $2. Whereas you've played Castle Maker in Ludwig, right, AJ?
Yeah.
Like the central mechanical hook, no, not the central mechanical hook, but like a big mechanism in that game is you create the market to try to like make the most money. Like that's one of the core things you do in that game. Is that what's happening here? Because that's very different to if it's just dealt out randomly.
Yeah. What my guess is it looks like this is a player board, singular, because it's all one line, and then each of these is, if someone takes the thing that's on this space, then you get the associated benefit from the bottom.
But I'm asking, do you put those out, or do they get randomly dealt out? Or
right, I'm saying I don't think it does, but either way, it should be more clear, I think.
This is also one of the thematic things that bugs me. Is like, if they're mine, why can't I use them for my patients?
Yeah.
Or maybe I can. I don't know. Like, I just don't have enough. I have the exact wrong amount of information.
Yeah, comparing to something like Castles of Waterdeep, it's like, I build a building. When you use that building, I get a bonus.
Right.
It's my building. Of course I get the bonus.
Yeah.
With this one, it's like, I don't really know why it's happening.
Yeah. Action upgrades.
Completing monsters upgrades your actions. Try to chain them together for longer turns. So I understand. Yeah. Yeah. So far we have actions as like, maybe it's just discard monocles, collect glasses, the things that says over here. That's my guess.
Oh, that subheader was actions. You're right.
Yeah. So
I read that as a turn flow. Like, you do those 4 things on your turn.
Yeah, that's what I thought initially, but now that I'm reading this, I think each of these is an individual action you have access to, and then it's mirrored over here.
To my earlier point of like the wrong amount of information, 1, we shouldn't be wondering this, and 2, it doesn't matter. So you've given us enough to be confused, but not enough to answer our questions.
Yeah, and if you want to just, like, if we didn't change anything else about the sheet except for the flow of information, you would expand out this whole section here at the top.
Your mouse doesn't appear for me.
Okay. The action upgrades, like where you can see the actions for the turn, if that's wider, so it takes up the whole space, and then each of the actions has the thing underneath it explaining what it does. So, like,
let's assume you choose 1 action per turn. The rules, I mean, do they even need to mention that? Like, does it matter if it's 1 action per turn or a sequence? I just think it's all irrelevant.
Yeah.
Okay, tiling.
Gather the right glasses and monocle tiles to complete each monster's request. Yeah, so they have specific things they're looking for. Get more points if you get the right match, I assume, or you have to get exactly the right match to be able to.
It's all icon driven, and I don't really understand it, but
yeah. And this,
but that seems like the most useful thing to know in terms of like what the theme of the game is.
Yes. And we'll talk about it in the positive player interaction episode, but this in no way triggers positive player interaction gains. But it is what a lot of people think of as positive player interaction. So this isn't an insult towards you specifically.
This is more AJ having very specific tastes.
Yes. All right, so I want to make sure we have time for other ones. So can we wrap this one up quick?
Yes.
We're already 25 minutes in.
Okay, I have 2 thoughts. One is I would cut pretty much all of this, do what I said, big monster, arrows pointing onto it, give monsters the right glasses, and then like maybe one other big hook. That's all you need. Like, the point of a sell sheet is not to explain the full game. I mean, ideally you can play it on there, and so like maybe you have the actions at the bottom or something like that. But like, I don't care about any of this. I want to know what makes this game fun and different and interesting and unique. And right now, that's, if it's in there, it's buried.
I think as an exercise, what you might want to do, designer out there, not the person who did this sell sheet specifically, but everyone, just write up a fake sell sheet for Twilight Imperium, or whatever the heaviest game you can think of is. You are absolutely not going to be going to all the little intricacies of it. And that exercise might help you think about what are the selling points of TI. Those are the things you need to focus. I can leave the nitty-gritty off. And if you send the sell sheet to someone who's interested, they might say to you, I don't have enough to fully understand this game, but you whet my appetite. Let's see the rest. Let's play it on TTS. Send me the rulebook, whatever. All the sell sheet is step one, catch their interest. I've literally had a publisher reach back out to me and say, hey, I don't have a full grasp of how this game works, but I'm interested. Let's see more. That's all I wanted the sell sheet to do.
Yep. My other note is a minor one, which is that I don't think this font is Comic Sans MS, but it looks very Comic Sans MS-y, and that is sort of a running joke of like bad graphic design. So while graphic design shouldn't be the focus and you don't need to be good at it, you sort of picked the famously obnoxious font.
All right, let's move on. We got a lot more to do.
We're not going to get through 9 today, but yes, let's move on to another one.
Maybe we can just commit to this being like a 2-part. I would like to go through all of them. Everyone took time to send them in. I'd feel bad.
We'll do them eventually, just not necessarily this episode.
Cool. Then I will stop stressing out and rushing. So this is Little Thief. Players 2 to 4, ages 8+, time 15 minutes, components 125 cards, and there's a QR code, I assume, to a how it's played video. There should be something telling me what the QR code is sending me to. But having a QR code for a brief 2 to 3 minute pitch video sounds like a fine thing to do. It has the tagline, push your luck to steal from dragons, which is not exactly unique or appetite whetting in any way.
Well, I mean, that's literally Clank, isn't it?
I mean, there's multiple games with that exact theme. I could probably, if I did a little Googling, find like half a dozen easily.
AJ, I have news, which is this is going to be a mini episode because I only have 15 minutes left.
All right, very short then.
Sorry about that. I thought I had more time, but food got ordered. It's my job to pick it up. Okay, go ahead.
Just one more card. Stealing treasure from dragons is hard when you're just a tiny lizard, but if you want to win the race for gems, you'd better get sneaking and you'd better improve your skills. It doesn't really tell me much, but let's just keep pushing through here and then we'll comment on it as a whole. Don't get burned. Playing is easy. Either pass for the round or delve one card deeper. Get the furthest for extra treasure, but don't reveal 6 flames or you burn out.
Small note, playing is easy is one of those show don't tell things. If it's easy, I can tell that by reading it. If it's not, you've wasted my time by saying playing is easy when it's untrue.
Yep, and you're getting to the weeds here. I don't need to know it's 6 flames, etc.
Yeah, right now I'm reading this and... Oh, they blacked out their own information. Thank you very much, Perfect. AC. Right now I'm reading this and thinking, oh, it's diamond.
Yeah, that's exactly my thought. Yeah. Grab loot, gear up. Your starting deck is weak and small. Fix it by customizing your deck with your favorite strategies so you get those gems before your rivals and without burnout. Little Thief promises to steal the hearts of gamers looking for portable, fast fun. So that is a difference. It sounds like you're deck building your own deck, which is
Could you
not...
go at the top?
Yep.
Yeah. At no point until that last sentence has mentioned deck building, push your luck. Mm-hmm. And that, for me, I think would be like a central thing I'd want to know as a publisher.
100%. Yeah. That is what makes your game unique, and that makes it much more interesting.
It does mention that the art is placeholder and sourced online. I want to say that visually, I love this. I think this is really nicely laid out. I love your choice of fonts. I love your choice of like placeholder art. I think this gives me a really... And sorry, go up to the components again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this gives me a... I can see what this game is. This is a $20 all-play game or like a smaller game from Amigo. This is visually cohesive. The names, like everything about this is in complete cohesion. I would just mention the deck building element front and center because that seems to be, although I do worry that mentioned deck building makes it seem like a different weight than it is. So maybe like light deck building, push your luck. That's what I want to see up the top, you know?
I don't think you need to necessarily say it because it says 15 minutes. That's true.
That tells you light. Yeah, so deck building... Push your luck. Steal from dragons is not that interesting. Also, in this image, it looks like you are a dragon. Oh, you're a tiny lizard. It does say that. Thematically, I'm not grabbed. Honestly, like you said, it's still kind of Clank. It's like mini Clank, and maybe that's the intent. So thematically, I'm not super compelled. It's a very cute idea to be a tiny little lizard thief stealing from a dragon, but it's not standing out. Component-wise, it's not standing out. And mechanic-wise, it seems like your best bet here is to go for like the tight little package of deck building push your luck, which I think is interesting, and I think this is really well presented. So I don't think from this I would ask to play it, but I can see that this is only a few steps away from hitting.
Yeah, the nice thing is publishers know how to do their job mostly, so they could see this and be like, all right, I can come with a better theme for it. But I think giving yourself the best chance here, I would try and retheme it. The nice thing is it seems light and abstract enough that you could paste on basically anything, which gives you a lot of creativity and a lot of opportunities for different stuff.
Just like off the top of my head, I think if you were a tiny dragon stealing from a human, that's a twist on the formula, you know?
Sure. Like I said, there's a million things you could do with this.
Yeah.
Do we have time for one more?
I think your best bet is to find a good one and pitch that. And this one's fine, but I think it could be stronger.
Mm-hmm. You want to do one more?
I just want to look at... No, I want to do one more. I have one more thought on this. Maybe this counters what we were saying earlier. Maybe you'll disagree with this, but like, I wouldn't mind an example of what one of these cards does, because right now all I know is that you are flipping cards until you get 6 flames, then stopping. But you can customize your deck with your favorite strategies. That I don't know what that means. And you've got all these symbols, and so like, even just pulling out one card, like the one with the 3 question marks in the black circles, like, I just want some information of what I can possibly do to get an idea of the game. But this might be counter to what we were saying earlier about diving into too much detail.
Yeah, it's tough because I don't want to get too lost in the weeds, but I want to know that there's something in this game other than something that gets me points and has less flames, you know, like something that's like super boring.
I think you could cut a lot of this down to flip a card or collect treasure, like literally dot points. Flip a card or collect treasure, 6 flames you burn out, upgrade your deck to, you know, with special abilities, you know. I think that all of this text could just be that, and then you've got a little bit more, like that gives me everything I've already got. And then you could have one card, like pick your most fun and cool and interesting card. And I actually have plenty of time. Sorry, this is so chaotic. I have half an hour.
Okay.
We're back to a full episode. Sorry, AJ, I'm giving you patience.
Yeah, just recording whiplash. Yeah, I would cut this whole first paragraph. I think this basically goes without saying for push your luck game. Rather than saying this, you know, it's the show don't tell. Just show me the deck and walk me through a turn. Be like, step 1, flip over cards. Ooh, am I gonna bust? I'm gonna use this one power card, like Peter said, and it's like, oh, okay, so that's the type of cool effect I have, you know, and then you can go into the deck building stuff.
And then I think the selling of this is that it's a tight little 125 cards. That's a great card count. That's a great 15-minute game. It's a great theme. Like it's sort of the opposite of the last one. It's very cohesive. It's just over-explained, and I just want like the key elements and then one cool thing, and then I think you've got some, and maybe the theme's fine. I feel like this theme is a solid 6 or 7 out of 10, which is great, but you want to hit an 8 or 9 or 10 out of 10. Okay, that's all for me.
Ooh. This one pops quite a bit more.
So this is called Faekin, Faekin, which is a very cute pun. The shape-shifting social deduction game. Faekin is such a cute title. I really like that. It's some of this really nice, ornate sort of elfin font. Basics: 2 to 8 players, ages 8+, 45-minute games, 10-minute rounds. Cut the word basics. We don't need to know that these are the basics. We understand how a sell sheet works. Anytime I can cut a word, I want to cut a word. I do like the split between 45-minute game and 10-minute rounds. I think that's interesting. It gives me a shape of the game. Remember with yours, AJ, I was saying I don't quite have a shape of this game. That immediately tells me, okay, you're going to play like 4 or 5 rounds, it looks like. Each one's going to be 10 minutes. So I already have an idea of what the shape of the game looks like. Tiny Thief also did that really nicely with the, like, you run, you upgrade your deck, you run. Like, cool, I can now see what game this is in 15 minutes. That's really interesting. Highlights, again, we don't need the word highlights. Lightning fast rounds, simple rules in a genre known for its spiraling complexity, beautiful fey art on each card. AJ, what are your thoughts on these highlights?
I don't like these highlights. So first off, I know how long the rounds are going to take. They're going to take 10 minutes. It says right here. Second of all, I wouldn't consider 10 minutes lightning fast.
If you're comparing it to Resistance, maybe.
I usually take less time than 45 minutes to play a game of Resistance. And that's...
maybe your group is exceptional.
But yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of... There's so many games that are so much faster than 45 minutes. 10 minutes per round does not feel lightning fast to me. So there's disconnect there.
Yeah.
I think Simple rules in a genre known for its spiraling complexity. I mean, Resistance is a pretty. I mean,
Yeah.
it's got a few rules, but like it's definitely not complex by any stretch of the imagination. And yes, a lot of social deduction games are getting more complex. That's because they're selling to people who have played a lot of the Resistance and want something else. So a lot of them that are out there, I don't even think that they're that complex.
Agreed.
So to me, this is like it's commentary that I just don't agree with. So to me, it makes me feel like you're not super familiar with the industry.
Yeah. I have two thoughts on this. One is, same as last time, show don't tell. If it's simple rules, like I feel like saying simple rules adds nothing. It's like applying for a screenwriting job and being like, I'm really funny. And it's like, well, cool, you haven't made me laugh yet. You've only told me that you're funny. In a genre known for its spiral complexity, and this is similar to what you said, is just like flame. Like, what you doing? If I'm a person who makes social deduction games, stop it. Like, don't do that. Beautiful Fey art on each card.
I can see that if I look at it, and also now you're telling me that there's a complication with the art. Right. Is this your art? Are you not going to sign it with me if I want to change the art?
Yeah. What does it say down the bottom? Is it my immediate thought is to scroll down to the bottom and be like, did they? So they've not listed themselves as an artist or anything like that. Oh, thank you for blacking this out, by the way. You've saved me so much editing time. Okay. So yeah, beautiful Fey art on each card. That's not your call. Or if it is
beautiful, but
oh yeah, it's very nice. But it's not your call, and if it is your call, then you've added an obstacle to the game. If it's and secondly, show don't tell. If it's beautiful, give me a big old card. Okay, can you zoom back out and I'll keep reading?
It's hard to say because this is so small.
Right.
But does this look AI generated to you?
I don't know.
It does to me.
No, I can see it, yeah.
If I'm wrong...
It's too small to say.
Yeah, it's very hard to tell, but it has some of the trademarks. And the fact that they don't list themselves as an artist makes me think that it might be.
Having said that, I do like making my prototypes pretty, and I often use AI art to do that. But I don't say this is a pretty game, because if it is, you can see it. And if it is, you're going to have to, like, in the current climate, you're going to have to make your own art. So I'm saying, like, hey, I want to art direct this game, which is not a good pitch.
Yeah. All right, carry on.
Welcome to Faekin, which is capital cased, which is an interesting choice. Sorry, capital case.
I'm very against that, by the way.
An elegant social deduction game which thrusts you into the role of children born from the forbidden love between the heirs of the Fey courts of summer and winter. Embracing their whimsical nature, the Fae have devised a game to unravel the fate of you misbegotten shape-shifting offspring, all while determining which season shall reign supreme. There is some interesting stuff buried in here, I think. First red flag for me is the Fae have designed a game. I was told this very early in my career, so it really stuck, as early advice does. People prefer to play games that are about things, not games that are you playing a game. If within the world of the story you're playing a game, that is just a level of separation that... And obviously this game is going for immersion, so... does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yep. I agree.
The children born of forbidden love between the heirs of the Fey courts feels very Rose of Court and Thorns to me, which is a fine selling point. That's, you could wingspan it, bring in a whole audience of people who don't normally play these games. I actually think that's all really cool. It's just a little wordy for me. And you've said elegant social deduction game, which is another show don't tell.
Yeah, I think this is a little cerebral for me too. It's like devise a game to unravel the fate of misbegotten shape-shifting offspring while trying to determine which season reigns supreme. That's just like...
It is very verbose. So just to rewrite on the fly, I would say, rather than welcome to Faekin, an elegant social deduction game, I'd be like, summer, the summer Fae and the winter Fae have been at war for years, and you are... Even that's too long. But like, just give me, again, I want bullet points. I just want, like, what do I need to know? What makes it interesting? I think forbidden love between heirs of the Fey courts of summer and winter is a very interesting idea in a very clunky sentence.
I wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah. Okay. Deal 3 fated cards that will assign a player a hidden court and rank. Duel secretly to gradually reveal players' identities. Deceive the rival court while determining who is in your court. Deduce the heirs of each court using information gathered through duels. This already feels twice as complex as the Resistance to me. I don't understand what's happening.
Yeah, I don't know what... So Hidden Court and Rank. One of those has to be like Spy versus Resistance, like which team I'm on.
Right, which I think is the summer-winter split, is the courts.
But then I don't know what the second one is.
Right.
And then
maybe Rank is what determines an heir?
I assume that
it feels like Love Letter meets the Resistance.
Yes, that is what it seems like to me. And the thing is, Love Letter already has an element of social deduction, of like figuring out what they have back there. So in Duel, secretly to gradually reveal players' identities, it looks like you're playing some sort of light card game where you just play 2 cards, compare. Whoever has the better card doesn't reveal their identity to the other person, so then you have information, and then you tell other people, oh yeah, they're the bad guy, go get them, or that sort of thing.
Right. So there's sort of a double social deduction, which is determining who's on your side. Like who is, because if I'm like, hey everyone, he's winter, and everyone's like, oh cool, we're all winter, so we're going to kick you out for being summer, then it seems cerebral is a good word. It seems complex. I don't understand how to play, and it currently seems complex.
Yeah. I do like visually the cleanliness of this.
Yeah, for sure.
I can give this a lot of compliments on its composition and art direction and everything. And I think that I'm getting most of what's happening here. But
it's the same note as 2 ago, which is that I understand enough to be confused and not enough to be compelled. Like it's the wrong information.
Yeah.
Let's zoom out here, AJ. I want to spend 5 minutes looking at this and saying, okay, AJ, you are a publisher who's like, you know what, we don't have in our catalog a social deduction game.
Mm-hmm.
What do I show? So let's pretend that this is my game. Mm-hmm. What can I show you that makes you request a prototype? Because if it's elegant and simple and all that, that'll come through in the prototype straight away. Like what piques your interest? And I realize this is a bit role play, but
yeah.
What should be on the sell sheet to make you request the prototype? Because right now, I think this is a really cool sounding game that doesn't make me want to request the prototype at all.
I'll give you a vague answer and I'll give you some specific answers
Great.
As examples. The vague answer is the thing that we always need, which is a hook. I don't know what the hook is of this game. It seems like what you're saying is its elegance is a hook, and then you're not showing us why it's so elegant, and it actually seems more complex than the most popular one in the genre.
I think the thematic hook of this is really strong. Well, I don't know if you know how much of a hit A Court of Thorn and Roses is.
Yeah, it's very popular.
Like, it is a mega hit. If you can capture that into a game, you've got an audience built in. And that's clearly the vibe they're going for here, right? Like, I'm not imagining that.
It is. I just think that what I'm trying to say is they're not showcasing that as being their hook. They're showcasing elegance as being the hook. And that's not what I'm seeing.
Yeah, they do have that whole paragraph about it. So they're not ignoring it. Like, it's in there enough that we've identified it. But you're right, showcase is a good word. That should be the prime focus, I think, of what you're selling.
Yeah. So I think that it does have a thematic hook there, which is interesting. I don't fully understand the mechanic of what's going on there, which I really need to. But to answer your question as to I want to give some specific examples because I bought a lot of social deduction games, and I will tell you the last 4 that I bought and why I bought them.
Yes, please.
So I bought You Must Be an Idiot, which is a social deduction trivia game.
Can you stop insulting me and start telling me about the social deduction game, please?
Have you heard of that one?
No, I haven't heard of that.
So you're playing a trivia game, but you get dealt out a loyalty card as to whether or not you're actually trying to answer correctly, or if you must answer incorrectly. So if you answer incorrectly, you have to come up with an answer that seems like a believable mistake.
Yeah. Immediate mechanical hook.
Yeah. As soon as I heard that, I was like, I bought it on the spot.
Yeah. It's bluffing, it's social deduction, it's from a different angle. Yeah, no, it's doing a lot of stuff really smart.
Yeah. I purchased Inhuman Conditions, which we did a whole episode on, and is one of my absolute all-time favorite games. The thing that hooked me from that one is they said it is 2-player social deduction 5 minutes. 5-minute social deduction is already a hook. 2-player social deduction, a hook. Saying both of those, I'm like, how is that even possible? I'm intrigued.
So I wondered if you'd bring this up, because we kind of skipped over at the start, but the first thing we read was 2 to 8 players.
Yep.
Now,
that's true.
That as a cynic, that makes me suspicious more than intrigued.
Yes. Yes. So the thing is, if you say it's a 2-player social deduction, you are telling me I built this game around it being 2 players. If it says 2 to 8 players, that tells me the social deduction element is really much less social and much more deduction. And that's a very different type of experience. My guess is
a swear word in our screen and has been the whole time.
Oh no! Oh, so there is. You have to play that out.
I'm not gonna. People can just know that we swear.
Yeah, it's not on the podcast; it's just on YouTube. We can swear on YouTube. That's funny.
You'll have to go to YouTube if you're listening to this to see what the swear word is.
It's the most vulgar.
It's not on the sell sheet. I do want to make that clear.
Oh yeah, yeah. We don't want to throw this person under the bus. Yeah. But yeah, so saying it's 2 to 8 actually makes me less interested in the game because most social deduction games have a pretty tight player range because it delivers a specific kind of experience. And I think it's a very different kind of experience, generally speaking, that you get with like the lower player count social deduction ones. And
having said that, we made this association with Love Letter. I could see a version of Love Letter that's kind of social deduction that goes from 2 to 8. So if it was clear to us from the sell sheet, we see how this plays at 2, then it would be fine. But as it is, it does raise a red flag more than intrigue me.
Right. And as I say, like part of this is if you're coming to me and you're saying, I have a social deduction game, you're looking for a social deduction game, then I'm looking for a social deduction game.
Right.
And if you're telling me this is more of a deduction game where, you're trying to infer from actions players are taking on the board, not from conversations you're having with them, a la Love Letter, then I think that it makes more sense what I'm looking at here. Yeah. You know what I mean?
So what could we do with, let's say you were now designing this game and bringing it to me, who's looking for a social deduction game? How would you arrange it? I just want to make sure we're doing actionable advice because I think it's an interesting thought experiment.
I would want to give more information as to the deceiving and deduction elements of it. Again, this is right into the problem of it's giving us not enough detail to actually parse it out. And the fact that I don't know what a rank versus a court card is a problem. I would want to be able to show you what the conversations are going to look like in my social deduction, if indeed this is a social deduction.
So I would present... You want beautiful art to be the pitch? Cool. One quarter of the page is a winter card, 1/4 of the page is a summer card, and you just put a clean-up version of that sentence. The summer fae and the winter fae have been at war for all time. Just give me that beautiful art. Give me the 2 swords. I want to look at this and be like, they're doing ACOTAR. If that's the pitch, if it's a thematic hook that you're going for, that's what your sell sheet needs to be. And right now, I feel like that's buried in here and we can draw it out. I would even say the social deduction game for people who love A Court of Roses. Like, I think that maybe that's too on the nose, but you really got to lead them down that path. Because if a publisher knows ACOTAR, I just love that as an acronym. If a publisher knows A Court of Thorn and Roses, then you need to grab them. If they don't, they're probably not the publisher for you. I don't think you're going to sell someone and no, it's a really big deal. You just haven't heard of it, Mm-hmm. So I think I would make that front and center. And then again, I'm a big fan of the bullet points. Just 3 bullet points being you are randomly dealt one of those 2 courts. Here's the thing that would sell me on it. You don't know how many are in each court because that's what I think is happening, but it's not clear. Resistance, there's a knowing minority and a non-knowing majority, right? That's the core hook of Mafia Werewolf Resistance. This one, I feel like the kind of twist is that you don't know how many. Maybe there's an equal number. Either way, I want to know that. Half of you are on the winter team, half on the summer team. There's a random number on each team, whatever it is. But you've got these 2. You show me these 2 courts. You've told me you're one of these courts at random, and then the 2 courts have been at war for hundreds of years. You are what are you? You're a shape-shifting offspring. I don't know what that means mechanically. You've sort of got, do you know the term hat on a hat?
Yeah.
The Fae have designed a game to unravel the fate of the misbegotten shape-shifting offspring. Cool. So they're trying to ferret out the divergent. While all determining which season will reign supreme. Cool. So there's also a war for control.
Oh, you know what this smacks of? This seems to me like this person has spent a lot of time on this external story and lore and have this whole world building thing. And you know what? I noticed at the bottom it says Nevergreen with like a logo, and then Nevergreen Games LLC. This is like a world where they want to have like 50 games in that probably, and that sort of thing. And yeah,
which is great, but like you need to sell the first game to sell the rest.
Yeah.
So if you're going full theme, cool, give me theme. If you're going innovative social deduction mechanic, give me the innovative social deduction mechanic. Right now, we've just kind of got a slurry thereof. And again, we warned you that we're going to give harsh feedback. I just don't know what this is, and I feel like it's sort of like the last one. I feel like it's close. It's close to something. You just want to work out your hooks and hit them as hard as you can.
Yeah.
All right, let's do one more, and then I got to run.
Cool. Spymaster. 2 players, ages 10 plus, 30-minute playtime. All right. Down with this so far?
Yep. Very clear, like Spymaster and those things, cohesive.
Cold War duel between rival spymasters. The shadows of the Cold War are cast long over Europe. As heads of the opposing intelligence agencies, how can you outthink and outmaneuver your great rival to claim victory? As an Allied player, reveal the Soviet spy before they gather intel. As the Soviet player, gather the required intel before you're caught and run out of time.
Cool. Yeah.
So
for people listening, this is a very, very text-heavy sell sheet.
Yeah, and this is supposed to be...
It's well sorted, I will say that. It's very clear what I'm looking at everywhere, but there is a lot on here.
This has excellent visual hierarchy, it seems. Or maybe not excellent, but definitely solid.
Clear visual hierarchy, for sure.
Yeah, but so my issue here... Sorry to be extra rude. That was a little unnecessary. But to me, the space underneath your title is like for a tagline. And when
it's your prime real estate.
Yeah. And if you go back and watch Peter talking about all my sell sheets, there were multiple times that I had a tagline that was like 8 or 10 words long. He was like, way too long, trim it back. And I think he was right. I think like the tagline needs to be really pithy. And having, I get like this space, what you're using it for isn't the tagline. What you're using it for is like a general vibe of what's going on. But it's too much. And it's not necessary. Like this is
too much, especially because we know all this.
Right.
This is the theme of 100 games, like 1,000 games. Like we know that the Cold War happened.
Yeah, and you literally like duplicate information. As the Soviet player, gather the required intel before your car run out of time, and it says that like right over here what the Soviet player is doing and what the Allied player is doing.
Yeah. Go ahead. Okay, everything that you read out then can be summarized as Allied versus Soviet Cold War.
Yeah.
Spies. That's everything, right? Like literally those 5 words, whatever it was, I didn't actually count them, tells you this paragraph of text. In fact, a Cold War duel between rival spy masters has already told us the entirety of that text. There is no new information in this entire paragraph.
Yeah, that is the tagline, and you basically you don't need anything else there. The only thing that you might want to add in is that it's asymmetric. It sounds like it's quite a different thing that you're both doing.
I didn't get that vibe at all.
Ooh, let's find out as we read more.
Yeah, and then the next thing is a competitive game of deduction and espionage. We got that.
Yeah,
you've told us we're spies and it's 2-player dueling. We know it's competitive. We know it's a game. We know it's deduction. We know it's espionage. You've given us no information at all.
And actually on here on the side, game type, light strategy. It's a 30-minute game for ages 10 plus.
Yeah.
I figured that out. And then again, deduction, spy, strategy.
Yeah.
I see these words over and over again.
Yeah.
Here's a minor note. Components, you can move this down and out of the way. This is poor visual hierarchy. This is not something that should be prominent. It should be tucked away.
This is you need it there so they can evaluate a thing when they go looking for it, not draw attention to this.
Yeah, and this is actually something I meant to say on earlier things.
Faekin did this really well. By the way, Faekin is an amazing name.
Also, I like how they have a fun font for the title that's still legible. And
Faekin, of everything we've seen so far, Faekin's the one that I'm honestly most intrigued by. Maybe Little Thief as well, but Faekin just because it's such a solid product. If it is what I'm imagining. But the question is, am I imagining it or not?
Right. One tiny note for Faekin is it specifies like 13 summer cards, 13 autumn cards. Publishers don't care about that. This is something that you shouldn't just be copy pasting from your rule book.
Yeah.
You should just say how many cards, how many tokens, that sort of thing, so the publisher can get an idea of cost. That's what they look at, or why they look at components, to see how much it will cost them. And if you have 4 different types of cards, that means they have to do math to figure out how many.
Yeah.
Don't make them do work.
Okay, let's jump back to this. So, big picture of the game. This is what you're missing in yours, AJ. Like, I don't think this does an amazing job of telling me what I'm looking at, but it gets me further than Whalefall did. The players determine the action of the game through an initiative card order system. I don't know what that means. Yeah, I have no idea what's happening there. There we go. The value of each player's initiative card, you're missing an apostrophe for players. It should be ownership. The value of each player's... proofread your cell sheets. I feel like that's a fairly basic note. The value of each player's initiative card compared to their opponents determines what actions they can take. I still don't know what it means. I want to know what it means. I'm intrigued, but I just have no... you've given... Similarly to at the top, you gave us 2 paragraphs with no information. This is 3 sentences to answer a question that I literally asked out loud, and I still don't know the answer to. Either?
Yep, I'm just trying to parse it as well. It's looking like you... we
don't have time to jump into what if. Sorry.
Yeah.
I just noticed the time marched on. Yeah. RRP is an interesting choice. I don't think I would recommend doing that.
Say again?
Having the recommended retail price.
Yeah.
Especially it's so specific, $20 to $23. Like you don't know that.
Publishers can glance at your components and they know how much it'll be. And also, that price can vary so much depending on how exactly they do your tokens, how exactly they do...
How many they print. If Amigo or the Op is doing this, it's going to be a wildly different price point to if Jellybean or Weird Giraffe are doing it.
Yeah. And even things like, linen finish cards versus cheap card stock. Like, a lot of things add up. So, yeah, that's not necessary. Simple
rules, engaging, interactive, matched play, small footprint. First of all, one of those is not like the others.
Yeah.
So sorry to rush through this, Tom. Tom Merrigan submitted this one, by the way. But right now, I don't know what the hook is. I don't know how to play the game. I know the theme 5 times. Yeah, AJ, at a glance, component hook, mechanical hook, thematic hook.
I'm not seeing them.
Yeah. Simple rules, show, don't tell, engaging, show, don't tell, interactive. I feel like it's implied in a dueling game. Like, I don't think you can make a dueling game that's not interactive. Or if you do, it's no longer a dueling game. Small footprint, we already saw that. Matched play, I don't know what that means. You've got your reference cards here, which I'm just going to say, generally speaking, is a no-no. Like, either take the information from the reference card and blow it up into cell sheet format, if it's so simple that is the whole game and you can teach it from the cell sheet, or omit it. Definitely don't put your reference cards on.
It's a lot of information that we don't have full context for.
Yeah, I think that the scroll to the top for me. I think the strongest part of this is Spy Master, a Cold War duel between rival Spy Masters, and then the basic facts.
I think to me that is a cool theme. I said that I didn't really see any strong hooks, but I think there is something about the espionage of trying to figure out who the spies are. There's something to that theme, and even though we've seen that theme in certain forms before, this has a bit of a different granularity than, say, something like Twilight Struggle or whatever. I still don't know if this game is asymmetric or not.
Yeah,
variable player powers.
So let's wrap up. I think that the common theme we had is too much of the wrong information, pretty consistently.
Yeah.
And to really just try to boil it down, ask yourself, what is your thematic hook? What is your component hook? What is your mechanical hook? How can I make the cell sheets those and almost nothing else? You want to be a hammer looking for a nail. You want to have one really strong purpose, which is make the publisher request a prototype. That's the goal of the cell sheet. It's an ad. If this, imagine you're making a Facebook ad, and obviously that's too simplistic, but if this was a Facebook ad, what I'm looking at right now, I don't think anyone would click it. If you go back to Tiny Thief, I think there's elements there, Little Thief, I think there's elements of that you would click as a Facebook ad. It's not quite there. But it's, I think work out, And maybe I'm getting this all wrong because I don't make sell sheets, so maybe we shouldn't be giving this advice. But I really think that the sell sheets that I would request as a publisher are the ones that just give me the core why I want to play this game of the game. Is that fair to say?
Yep. And the most important thing about a sell sheet is your hook. Yes. Whatever your hook is, front and center, in blazing lights, as big as you can make it. The hook is what gets publishers to take a look at. And if you are looking at your game, having completed it and saying, I wonder what the hook should be, you have done it wrong. I'm sorry to say.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that... I'm sorry I'm so dark, by the way. I don't know. I'm in an Airbnb and I don't know where the lights are, so I'm just going to switch over to a white screen so I can't see you, AJ. But hopefully you can see me a bit better. I think that almost all of those had a hook that we were able to kind of tease out. If you can take that hook and plaster it on your sell sheet, I think you'll get more success. But obviously life is a gamble and who knows. AJ, quick publisher tip or getting published tip.
Be prepared. So, going along with the Whalefall example here, I pitched that to Joe. That's the one game I pitched to him so far. And he passed on it. And during the conversation, I think the main sticking point for him was he was worried that the teach would be too long. And for all play, he was saying that even his most complex game, Into the Desert, is only about a 5-minute teach.
Through the Desert, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And at the time, I knew it was a fast teach because I only ever make games with fast teaches, but I did not know how long it was. I didn't want to seem argumentative, not knowing how long it actually was. So I just didn't comment on it. After that meeting, I recorded a video of me teaching the entire game start to finish. It was less than 5 minutes. Right. And that's for all 3 unique factions and all core rules, 100% of the game for 3 players with very asymmetric factions, less than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And if I had known that going into that conversation, maybe he would have signed it. So make sure you come prepared and you're ready to answer the questions.
And again, not in an argumentative way, but just like, we only sign games with 5-minute teaches. Cool. I actually timed this to be a 4-minute teach, but if it's still too complex, that can be simplified. Like, don't argue. But having that data is definitely helpful. AJ, you want to have the world's quickest fun?
Yes. What is a skill you have but never use?
Puppetry. I am an amazingly good puppeteer, and I have not done it in over 10 years.
Wait, didn't you have like a show or something?
I have done multiple TV pilots where I've been the puppeteer, and I can do voices, and I can do the puppets, and I've invented new puppetry techniques, and I use 0 of it. What about you?
I've had a few jobs in like fast food and stuff like that, so I can make food very quickly because that's like the pace of making fast food.
It's in the name.
Yeah, but I hate it, and I'm actually the slowest cook you'll ever see because I like taking my time. Because I've done so much of that, and it's not fun to work for 8 hours straight going really quickly. I never ever use the ability that I have to go quickly.
What if I needed help felling a tree?
I actually am not very good at that, even though I was a lumberjack. I was mostly doing the extra tedious stuff.
What's that? Chipping wood?
So, for instance, if we have a log on a saw, it's like a bandsaw on a machine that like pushes forward and cuts. I would be like after the cut, moving the wood as it goes, and then like stickering the wood so there's gaps so it could dry out, sort of thing. So I was doing a lot of like the really tedious, boring stuff. It was absolutely horrible. Do not recommend.
Thanks so much, everyone. Sorry about my poor lighting and confuzzlement. I'm fully dark now, so I can see AJ's beautiful face. That is our first in our series of Cell Sheet episodes. Please submit your Cell Sheets. Where can they send them, AJ?
funproblemspod@gmail.com.
And we'll talk to you next time. AJ, I keep forgetting to ask, how do we end this podcast?
By saying goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us. You can find us and our incredible Discord community in the show notes, or reach out to us privately at funproblemspodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. If you enjoyed the podcast, please tell a friend.